By the way, my name is Heidi Marshall, and this is Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
And we are co-chair of the Old Evergreen Highway Neighborhood Association. And Serena is here with us too, and then Janet Whitfield over there. Those two are with Columbia River Neighborhood Association. Yeah, we have a lot of great speakers today. I'm going to turn it over to Dode or Serena, whoever wants to take over next, and we're going to open this party up.
And who's Coco?
Oh, well, this is Coco from the city of Vancouver, and she's gonna have a brief announcement for us before we get started.
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, everybody. I am the neighborhood program coordinator with the city of Vancouver. So I work with all 71 of our neighborhood associations. And this year happens to be the 50th anniversary of the neighborhoods program. So we are having a celebration, and I want just to invite you all to join us. It's going to be October 22nd from 5 to 7:30 at Furstenberg Community Center. And there'll be some snacks, there'll be some activities. CVTV will be there to record some neighborhood stories and histories. So I really hope that you can join us. I will pass along the event RSVP to your chairs, and they can send it out to you all. Thank you.
So I am Serena Lucy, and I am the chair of the Columbia River Neighborhood Association for those that live on the east side of Evergreen Highway. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I'll try to, I'm still having those powerful voices my dad did. Anyway, so I'll try to speak up. Serena Lucy, Columbia River Neighborhood Association. Okay? Great. I'd like to introduce Jordan Rasmussen, Officer Jordan Rasmussen.
Yes, ma'am. Jordan Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Vancouver Police.
Vancouver
Vancouver Police.
He's kind of like him.
Okay.
Yes, our
You can't
NPO.
hear me. Please yell. Do not hesitate to yell. My name is Jordan Rasmussen. I work for Vancouver Police for about 23 years. This is my first year as an NPO, neighborhood police officer. I work in District 4, Andreessen to 192nd Avenue, north and south. I'm here to give the stats for your neighborhood and kind of shotgun through this. And then the lovely mayor is going to take over and give you some really important information, I'm sure. Any questions, I'll try to address those quickly, but I have another meeting after here. So when I show up, I like to give the stats and tell everybody what's going on in their neighborhood. Your neighborhood not a lot going on there, which is a really good thing compared to everybody else. Year to date, you've had 19 offenses reported, which is better than last year, significantly so. Offenses in the last month, you had 1. There's a chart I'm going to show you. It's real tiny. Nobody will be able to see it. I'll still wave it around the room. Nobody can probably see this. Okay, but let's just go over it. Last year, offenses were up a little bit. Okay, this year they're going down. They're dipping down than where they were last year. What kind of offenses we're talking about? Let's get in the meat and potatoes. That's what everybody wants to know. What's going on? This year in 2005, year to date, you've had around 4 thefts reported and 2 burglaries. Everybody wants to know about the burglaries. This is what's important to me and who's going to break into my house. The burglaries have consisted of 2 construction site burglaries. Somebody's driving by and they see somebody working on a house. They went in, they stole some wiring. Okay, that happened this year. The other burglary that's been reported, some person was working on a house for a long period of time, and then they broke into a storage shed and some other things. Why is it called a burglary? Well, when you go in a house and you steal stuff, I mean, that's a burglary. You go into a gated area, that's going to be a burglary. Those are your 2 burglaries of significance the year to date. Let's see what else we got reported. This year, we had 23 crimes reported. So if someone breaks into my car, I'm going to call and say they broke into my car and you got a broken window, but they also stole my purse or my wallet. So that's 2 crimes reported with the same event. So this year you got 23 crimes reported. Last year you had 38. So you're doing significantly better this year. A lot of thefts. That's the biggest event this year is thefts. Well, what kind of thefts? What are you talking about? I didn't get time to look at them all, but the thefts could garden equipment, Amazon box. The thefts consist of anything and everything, but not a lot is happening in your neighborhood. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, and you got to be diligent. When you're watching your neighbor's house and you see Skippy walk up to the house and he looks suspicious because it's 3 o'clock in the night, he's got a backpack on and a flashlight out, feel free to call on that one. So when you do call, there may be a delayed response. We have some staffing woes that we're dealing with, but we're working on it. Please call if you think you need police. If you're not sure, just call 911, we'll figure it out. If it's not an emergency, nobody's fighting, you can wait, you can call 311. There may be hold time and response times will be delayed, but we will do the best we can to service you. My name is Jordan Rasmussen. I'm on the website, Vancouver Police Department. You can find me. We have 40-something neighborhood associations, so if everybody in the room decides to email me, my response time to your email is not going to be great. So if you got a liaison that you want to notify, or you got a vehicle parked down the road and you want to notify the neighborhood police officer, you can feel free to call 311, and I'll do the best I can to take care of it. Real quick, are there any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
From cluster boxes reported to the police, is that just to the post office?
Yeah, they're also reported to us and also the postal inspector. Both.
What is that cluster box that's been the last year?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that. I don't have that in front of me. I wouldn't be able to know that, ma'am. But I mean, if you reported it, you know, it's going to be there. I'm not 100% sure on that. What else? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You were talking about mailboxes, right?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any arrests or any progress, more or less, what's going on? We've been hit a couple.
Yeah, I don't know about the arrests. And typically how that will work is if someone's caught with mail, that's usually how we find them. We don't ding them for the theft because we didn't see them do it. Unless you get a license plate, a description, you know, then usually the postal inspector will run with it, or we will if we have the time to do so. But a lot of times we'll catch them in their vehicles with a bunch of mail and then we'll charge them, you know, or notify the postal inspector. That's typically how that works. Kind of same way with the burglaries. Had my tools stolen, don't know who did it, but next thing you know, we got Bob over here with your tools. And then we charge Bob with possession of his stolen tools. So I just ask you guys to please be diligent with your homes. You guys, some of you live in real remote areas, secluded areas. You should feel fine to leave your doors unlocked. I would caution you not to do that. Just make sure you lock your doors, set your alarms, you know, and or notify your neighbors if you're leaving, if you trust them. Any other questions? Steve, did you want to talk, ma'am, at all? You good?
Yeah, so, just a few things.
I left,
What all you covered.
I covered the stats of the neighborhood and then I got to run.
Oh, all right. What, you got work to do or something?
Yeah, I got a thing. I got a thing.
You're welcome to go. Thank you so much.
Yes,
for being
ma'am.
Here, I really, really appreciate it. He is your neighborhood officer. He does a way more bigger job than I do up in the chief's office, just for a side note on that. And he is your first point of contact for a lot of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff that you see, he's the one that's handling for you, that's doing the follow-up, that's doing the stuff, that's making sure everybody talks to everybody. So thank you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
everybody else. So I'll admit I got thrown this on my calendar. I literally flew in from Europe this weekend, so my time schedule is still in Scotland. So just be aware that I'm a little bit awake and a little bit not awake. So I'm here to talk about a little, it sounds like he went over the stats for your neighborhood. I thought we'd talk a little bit about Vancouver as a whole. I see some of you doing this. So if I'm not loud enough, I actually rarely do people tell me I don't talk loud enough, but if I don't, say something and I'll try to speak up, especially for you guys in the back. So we have a few things that I wanted to kind of go over. Do any of you know what our crew crime reduction unit is? Have you heard of our crime reduction unit? So we have 5 officers that are assigned to our crime reduction unit, and all they do is violent crime. So that they don't take normal 911 calls, right? They actually go out and take care of our shootings, they take care of our robberies, they take care of our violent crimes. So for last year, for 2024, they did 272 arrests. And so those are felony arrests, which are really good for us in the city. They did served 50 search warrants, and they recovered 67 firearms. So that was for 2024. So it gives you a little bit of idea of what our crime reduction unit does. One of the things that we hear feedback from, and please happy to talk if you guys want to have feedback as well, is follow up to different things, right? So I think he talked a little bit about our response time for calls and our staffing level at this point in time, which is very low. So for those that do not know, we are the second lowest officer per 1,000 citizens in the state, right? So 1.2 per 1,000 members of the city. That's very, very low. It's actually, Washington is one of the lowest of all of the 50 states, okay? So when you talk about, so I always put this out and I find it interesting. Now, if you've heard me talk before, you can't answer this question, okay? On any given night in the city of Vancouver, what is the minimum staffing of the number of police officers you have in the city that are working, taking 911 calls? Any idea? Make a guess. So for the whole city, right, you're talking basically Camas to the yeah to and the river all the way up to Salmon Creek and all that area. Give me an idea. At about 250,000 people in the city, right? 200,000 people in the city.
Well,
And
You're not bad off. So 10 is our minimums. Yeah. So if you think about making a 911 call, right, and you have a prior, what we call a priority 1 911 call. So you're talking about somebody in dire safety. They need police presence right now because something is happening. That usually is a response of 5 to 6 officers in order to handle whatever that issue is, because those types of calls take a lot of officers. So you're taking more than half of the officers that are on shift that night for one call, which means that somebody else calling 911 has 4 left, right? So if you have 2 priority 1 calls come in at any given time, we're calling for County, Camas, Ridgefield, we're calling for other people to come and help. So it's one of the things that when we talk about our response time, when we talk about what we can do in the sense of the mailboxes that you were talking about, some of the lower level crimes that aren't person crimes, our staffing level dictates how some of that works, right? And so it gets frustrating, I know, sometimes on your part of us not responding to some of those calls or taking a long time to come when you make that 911 call when it's not a priority call. It's just a staffing issue. It's not that we don't want to come. Our officers are great. They will get there as soon as they can get there. They will take the report. We're just very, very low staffed in comparison to anywhere around us. And then we obviously have the issue of Portland across the river. And so we get a lot of that overflow here in the sense of crime. I'm sorry, and I can't hear anything. So a lot of staff. It's what we are authorized for staffing by city council. It's financial, right? It's money. It costs a certain amount of money to hire a police officer. And then we are actually doing a really good job in Vancouver. So I want to say that I think that there's 2 things that can really predict how a law enforcement department is running, how well their morale is, what their officers are like, those kinds of things. And those 2 things, one of them is proactive activity. So proactive activity means that it's not a 911 call. They see something on the street and they stop and talk to somebody. They see a crime maybe occurring or about to occur, just something suspicious that they go, that's not right. And so they stop and take care of it. Or they do traffic stops when they see people speeding, those kinds of things. We have a very, very high level of proactive police work in Vancouver, which means we are a very healthy department, in my opinion, and very healthy in the city, because our officers are out there trying to take care of you all, right, in any way that they can, from everything from a traffic stop up to a crime or a suspicious crime that they're talking about. The other thing is recruitment. Every agency that I have talked to across the nation right now has a recruitment problem, because when I got hired 30 plus years ago in my previous agency, I tested with 5,000 people. 5,000 people went with the little bubbles, and we filled in the bubbles to decide whether or not we could pass the test to be a police officer. Now we're lucky to get 50 people to apply for positions. Okay. So recruitment is a problem across the board. Vancouver, however, gets a lot of interest, and we have a lot of people applying in comparison to anyone around us, which means we're a healthy department. People are looking at our morale. They're looking at the city that we work for. They're looking at the community that we serve, which is huge, because they are respected. They are well received in the community, all of those things. So we actually have a lot of applications, and we're actually moving forward with, as we have retirees, we're actually able to hire fairly quickly. So that's all good. But those are the 2 things I think that show that we're really healthy. It's just a financial piece and what we're authorized to hire to, which is why we sit where we do. And the reality is, Vancouver, you all have been here for a while. I've lived here for over 20 years. We're growing at a rate that probably 10 years ago, no one in this room thought we were going to grow at, right? And I say that's a great thing, because I love our new waterfront. I love the building that's happening. I love the community that we have here. But that community is growing, I think, at a faster pace than we probably predicted that it would. And so to some degree, we're trying to play catch up a little bit, and the mayor can talk about that a little bit, sure. Other questions about that? Yeah.
Why do you need 5 to 6 officers for one call?
So there's a couple different reasons. One of the biggest things that I'm going to try and talk to you and them. One of the biggest reasons is RCW, which is the laws that dictate Washington, changed a few years ago after 2020. Not in a bad way. Some of them were bad that we've changed those, but some of them in a good way. One of them was our requirement for what we call de-escalation, or tools we use to try and figure out how to solve a problem without the use of force, right? That dictates more officers. But again, in a good way. And I say that in the sense that our uses of force are down significantly. We don't have to necessarily use the force that we did years ago because we have tools that we never used to have. And so when we go to a call that is a priority 1 call, maybe you have somebody with a firearm, you have a violent offender, something like that. We're not just going to take a couple of officers to go and try and talk to this guy. We're going to take a couple of officers. We're going to take a drone to be over the top to see what's happening so that we have intel that's real-time intel and our officers can stay back and stay safe. We're going to take a less lethal so that we have the option of using that as opposed to a lethal option if they refuse to give up a weapon or refuse to comply with what they need to comply with. We're going to take an officer that literally just does the talking part, right? You're going to have one officer that just tries to negotiate with them, to discuss with them, to de-escalate the situation and try to figure out a way to solve the problem. All of those tools take a separate officer, right? Because you can't have me talking to you and I'm trying to run a drone and watch my camera and do all that at the same time. It doesn't work. So when we go to a call like that, we bring multiple officers with multiple tools so that depending on how the suspect acts and what his actions are, we can respond accordingly because we have the number of people and the tools there to do it.
You mentioned a service area that is approximately 3 times the city of Vancouver. So what kind of support does the city of Vancouver Police Department get from the outlying areas like Camas, Washougal,
Okay,
Battleground, whatever?
the service area bigger. So I was just talking about the city of Vancouver. What support? We don't patrol outside of the city of Vancouver unless we're asked. Is that what you mean?
You talked about it all the way to Washougal, but it's not.
Oh, no, Camas. Camas is our line on the east side. I'm sorry if I said Washougal, I meant Camas. So Camas is our line on the east side. And then,
So 192nd.
yeah, it's just the city of Vancouver. So just our footprint is where we would have our officers patrol.
So-
Obviously, if county calls us and says, hey, we have an emergency, I need cops, we're gonna go help. But that's not our 911 response.
Okay, Santa Creek is not part of the city of Vancouver.
No, I'm sorry, but we go up to just to the south of that. We don't take over 7th Creek. No, I didn't mean that. I apologize if I have my number or my letter, my names wrong for the exact areas.
Are you using or contemplating AI for police work?
Yes and no. So one of the things that we're looking at for AI is report writing. There's a program out there called Draft One. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but what it does is it takes our body cameras and it takes the transcript from the body cameras and then it does a draft report, basically where it fills in kind of the blanks of what happens based on the transcript of what happens. Officers then will have to go through and actually read that and correct it and put in their own wording if they felt like the wording was off or that it didn't explain something well enough, making sure that they have the probable cause within the report, so forth, and then they'll approve it and send it through. So that's one of the things that we're looking for AI.
Any particular?
No. Not to say something won't come out at some point, but we don't have it yet.
Can you explain, I know we have a county sheriff
Yes,
and we have the police department.
yes.
Can you explain how those work together and who gets called for what?
Sure. So most of that is addresses, right? So if you live in the city of Vancouver and you have those services, the city of Vancouver, Vancouver Police is going to respond.
Okay.
If you're outside of that and you're in county, but not in another incorporated city, so not Camas, not Washougal, whatever, but you're in the unincorporated county, county will respond to that 911 call. But having said that, we do help each other out, right? Both of us are fairly we're both very understaffed. And so if county gets on a call and they need more people and we're nearby, we're going to go help. Same thing. If we have something that's happening in the city and we need additional resources, county may come in and help as well. Yeah.
the waterfront, is the waterfront part of what you handle?
Yes, it is.
And, are there cameras down there? We were down there and saw speeding cars and cars twirling around, and are there cameras?
There are not cameras that we look at, no. There are cameras on the hotels and the businesses. They have internal and their own cameras, but they're not cameras that are monitored by us at all. We're aware of the issue down there. We're meeting with the city, we've met with the city. We've also been meeting with the business owners. We actually have a plan to move forward, hopefully for next summer, to do some plans to change some things down there, to see if we can, through traffic control and just through some of those kinds of things, work on that. We do have an overtime shift down there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, all the way through the summer. That does help with that. Unfortunately, the minute we go to take a call to do something, they know we're gone, and that happens. I've actually worked that detail a couple of times, so I'm aware of it, and we're doing the best we can with that. And it's just
Are they Oregon or Washington cars?
both. Yeah.
I just want to thank you for doing a great job. I feel safe in my home and in my community, and I don't take that for granted.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We have a great police department. We really do. Have a great night.
So there was a ballot measure that was defeated last year to
Yeah.
increase the number of police. Could you tell me what that would, how many officers that would have been? What that would have done for a ratio of 1.2 per thousand, and will ballot be reappear for what again?
So what I'll talk about is actually, if it's okay with you, Prop 5, which is the new one that'll be on the ballot in November. And so what Prop 5 will do, it's a smaller version of Prop 4. Yeah, we just went on to 5. So since Prop 4 didn't pass, we're looking at Prop 5. Prop 5 has, and the mayor, please speak in as you want to do this. It has a few different tiers to it. Prop 5 is what we will vote on in November. And it's going to add approximately 13 officers. So Prop 4 covered things more than just police, right? More than just sworn officers. And it had things like some traffic cameras and some different things that were in there that I think were not necessarily wanted by the city. And we all know fiscally, right? Money is tight. So Prop 5 is just a kind of a smaller version of that, but it's going to be focused more on patrol, on officers.
And how many was Prop 4? How many officers were attempted?
40. We attempted 40.
40.
Yeah, yeah. But there's some other things, and again, we'll talk about some other things that we're working on. So Prop 5 would be the first phase in order for us to continue to grow the department. Yeah.
Thank you.
One more question, and then we'll move on to Ryan.
Traffic control. I mean, I love everything that you're doing and all the emergency response for local one. That's just gone, but I hear, I mean, there's a lot of, it's that I hear, like speeding, maybe, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, so traffic is honestly one of our number one complaints, and we see that. But as the deputy chief, we have to make decisions about where we put our resources. So I do have 5 traffic officers that just do traffic, and a sergeant that's attached to that unit as well. Unfortunately, they do a lot of investigative work as opposed to just going out and doing traffic stops for things like speeding, because they have to do all of our fatal car accidents, all of our major injury car accidents, hit and runs, those kinds of things. They do that investigative work. So when they're not doing that and on overtime, because we have several grants through the state that they go out and actually do DUI patrols, yeah, right, mood lighting. They do DUI patrols, they do speeding things, those kinds of things. You can always call in and ask for a certain area, and we can try and do enhanced patrol there if there's a specific area that you're noticing that is a problem. One of the things that we've talked about with Prop 5 is as we add officers or have the ability to hopefully add officers, traffic is one of the things we know needs extra people. It's an issue, and we know it. So we just need to, again, it's the staffing issue of my decision to deal with more high priority calls and violent crime calls versus traffic calls. Yeah.
Well.
No, well, it's up to you.
Yeah, we have a couple other speakers we need to bring up, and
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't get to all the questions you may have about Prop 5, so these are flyers for it that just answer some of the basic questions about our department and those kinds of things. And you're always welcome to ask more questions and we'll answer them. And if you follow our social media, FYI, we are putting these kinds of things and answering more questions on our social media.
Thank you. Before we move on to hear about the trail plans from Brian. And we would like to, Mary Ann would like to speak to them.
So Mayor Ann's gonna pass out some flyers, which she's doing right now, and then we're gonna bring up Brian Laposa to talk about our trail and city streets and all that fun stuff.
For those that want to know, the Mariners are up 5-1. Bottom of the sixth. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Usually don't have a problem projecting. So I'll talk first about the Evergreen Highway Trail Project. So as I shared with you, and again, thank you for having me out. I think this is 4 or 5 years in a row. Love coming to this meeting. I shared with you last year that we were planning to go to construction on the next segment of the Evergreen Highway Trail Project between Chelsea at the west end and Image. Came into this year, had it all ready to go, put it out to bid, got some bids in from the contractors, and lo and behold, they wanted more money than what we had available in our budget. So we had to reject all bids, and then we had to go look for more money. And fortunately, because we do such a good job of spending our federal money and keeping those projects moving, the Fed said, we're going to give you another $3 million for your Evergreen Highway Trail project. So that was awarded to us this summer. We're finishing up getting that obligated, getting all the documents signed, and then we'll be going back out to bid, hopefully within the next few weeks. Probably won't see any work actually starting until after the first of the year. Contractors and this kind of work needs to be some decent weather to do it. But the good news is we did get some more money. So that allows us to take some city money that we had allocated to that project, put that to a different project, and then get this project done. So that's where we stand on the trail project.
I would have heard it was money. That's sufficient. That's more money for the federal government. You know, like get to the original.
Yes.
So how much now? And what will that?
Well, we have about $3.5 million total in federal dollars, and then we can put local dollars. So when we see those bids come in, we'll put the necessary amount of local dollars to the project. Typically, when we advertise a construction project in the fall, we usually see really, really competitive bid prices, because what contractors are doing is they're teeing themselves up for what their crews are going to be doing after the first of the year. So we have historically always seen really good bid prices. So
How much money do you have now versus what you had last?
we only had the $500,000 in the federal grant, and then we had about $2 million in local dollars, and the bids came in right around $3.5 to $4 million. So it was way more than what we had available. So we had to go back and go after some additional dollars.
I'm a broken record, I ask this every time. I live east of the developed trail area. I've been waiting for 35 years for the trail to extend down, Evergreen Highway. So I'd like to know, when did you, that will ever be private?
You know, it's the last segment to be done. There was a design done probably 15 years ago. It was actually funded by the neighborhood association. We're having conversations with both neighborhood associations about what it would take to move that project ahead. And I think there might be even some conversations this evening that talk more about that. But the challenge is, and as has been shown with this project we're trying to get done today, is there's just our funding is really, really limited, and it's gotten harder and harder to get those grant dollars for this type of project. We are competing with projects that are building safer routes to schools, safer routes to transit facilities, and right now, those are the projects that are getting all the dollars.
Over the years, I have watched people encroach into the right of way and plants and put walls and so forth into the right of way. Is there nothing that could have been done to stop that encroachment so that when when the time actually comes that you might be some money available, that you can move forward?
So we've been, over the past year, we've been addressing some of those landscaping encroachments. I've been looking at some sections from 164th Avenue to the west that have, big arborvitae hedges right up to the edge of the roadway. We're getting those removed so we can at least create a space. Can't necessarily put the sidewalk in, but we can at least create a space on the shoulder where folks can walk. And we'll continue to look at that up and down the corridor.
Now, that's deadly.
Is it fair to say that your estimated construction cost of this next stage is about 3.5 to 4 million? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think right now our engineer's estimate sits right around $3.5 million. Yes.
We're near the area, so we don't know about the trail or where it's going to be.
So the Evergreen Highway Trail, you've seen segments built already. It's the concrete sidewalk that sits along either the south side of the road or the north side of the road. This segment between Chelsea and Image will be on the south side of the road. So it's about a 8-foot wide, basically sidewalk. And it just creates a space where walkers and bicyclists can be, where they don't have to share the roadway. It's been part of a long-term vision for the Evergreen Highway corridor to eventually get this facility all the way out to the eastern city limits, eventually tie into work that Camas is doing, and also to connect into other trail projects in and around the city to just create this interconnected network.
I'm sorry, important clarification. You just mentioned the 8-foot width. Is that, but what I understand, it's going to be 10 to 14 feet wide for phase 2.
For this phase that's being built now, yes, it varies.
Even though the first phase was 8 foot wide,
Yes.
now they're expanding it. You have about 23% cost increase because of the expansion. They're still sticking with that.
Well, we found over time that 8 feet is not wide enough for both bikes and pedestrians to use it.
Bikes aren't supposed to be on that road.
They can use, it's a multi-use path, so they can use it. It's intended for cyclists to use. Cyclists can still use the roadway if that's what they feel comfortable doing, but we're trying to cater to all levels of expertise in the cycling community. So we fully expect that there's going to be certain ones that want to use that trail. And what we have found is that 8 feet was not wide enough for both cyclists and pedestrians. And this is two-way travel, because it's only on one side of the road. Just wasn't wide enough. So these more recent iterations have created a wider space.
Well, now I have 2 questions. The first one is there a website or is there a place to go to actually view the long-term plan? I'd love to see what's proposed eventually. That's number one. And number 2 is, when you're building or when the path is being designed, is there a separation between bikes and pedestrians, or is it just gonna be blended?
We've created with the Evergreen Trail, because it is a multi-use path. It's much like the waterfront trail along Columbia Way. So we don't demarcate, and it's also, again, it's a two-way facility. So it'd be really challenging to say, okay, we want all the pedestrians on this side, we want all the bikes on this side. If you're going this way, great. If you're going that way. So we leave it open. And what we have found is that generally works. Most pedestrians tend to stay to the right. Cyclists know to pass them on the left and hopefully give them a little shout out as they're coming up. So we have found that generally works with the volumes that we see using that facility. Answer to your question, I would have to go back and look and see what, if anything, we still have on the website about the Evergreen Highway Trail. Again, the idea was just to create one consistent facility all the way out to 192nd Avenue.
Right. There's just doing it there. We'll find information on that.
Yeah.
So cool. Thank you.
Yes.
So let me just understand, are you going east? I thought you were coming from naturally.
So the segment that we're getting ready to build is from Chelsea, which is at the very west end of Evergreen Highway, out to Image, which is right about where the Arboretum is. So that's the segment we're getting ready to build. There are unbuilt segments east of I-205, east of 164th, that still need to be designed, we still need to get funding for. And those are the ones that we're starting to have some conversations with the neighborhood associations about how we could potentially get those done.
We moved here first in 1990. And they were talking about this.
Mhm.
We moved away.
for 20 years came back.
Mhm.
And so there's, I mean, they just went to, so the idea of having come to Visa or anywhere beyond, anywhere west is way in the future.
We've been building this thing a segment at a time. As we were able to get funding for it, we've been able to build it. It's just in the last 15 years since I've been with the city, it's gotten harder and harder. We used to be able to get grants for it. The first few segments we built, grant money nearly paid for it all. That's just not the case anymore because these grants have become more and more competitive. More and more agencies are seeking them, and the criteria is changing. There's a lot more emphasis on building better pedestrian facilities to get folks to and from school, folks to and from transit facilities. And frankly, the Evergreen Trail doesn't compete well with those projects. So we just have to get really, really creative. And fortunately, when an opportunity comes up where the feds come to us and say, look, we've got some extra money that wasn't spent in a different part of the state of Washington. Now, you have a project that we could put that towards? And we say, yes, we do. And so they allocated that money. Otherwise, I'd still be looking for money. I wouldn't be able to make any promises about when to do this next segment.
Well, one factor you might put in your appeal is that there is no public transportation on Evergreen. And if you want to walk to a bus stop from my house, it is 1.6 miles. From my house to the west, it's 2.2 miles to the bus stop. So that, most of that is a very dangerous, area where there's no trail. There's no safe place to walk. So somebody who needs public transportation, that walkway, if it ever exists, could be improved, could make things safer.
That's a great point.
And I'm waiting for somebody to get killed on Evergreen. That's not something I'm happy to say, but I'm waiting for that to happen because I see dangerous actions by automobile drivers to become within inches of people who are trying to walk that 12-inch wide place along Evergreen.
I understand. Back.
I don't want this to sound like it's going to sound, but where did all the money come from to do 34th Street from 164th to 192nd, where there's a 4-lane road and made 16 feet on each side for bikes and walkers?
So most of that project started out as a resurfacing project. 34th Street needed to be resurfaced. The pavement condition was. We did, but you're not able to, our resurfacing program doesn't allow you to expand. So we resurfaced 34th Street between the existing curb to curb. And then per our complete streets policy, which is a policy that directs us to make our streets work better for all modes of travel, not just the cars, trying to make them work for cyclists, pedestrians, those who use small mobility devices, and those that use transit. And that's where 34th Street was falling short, because it did not have good mobility facilities. So we used the paving project because whenever you pave a street, you have a blank slate.
So it came out of the paving budget.
And so most of that project came out of the paving budget. We did get a grant for that project. So we were successful. And again, this is an example of where the granting agencies are placing greater emphasis on different types of projects. So we did get a grant for that project as well. But it all comes out of the same budget. And so we just have to, prioritize where we're spending those limited amount of dollars. Yes.
I appreciate you coming in. I actually walk my dog and we just had the houses come in and 30-foot, like these huge boulders right by the road where nobody can park in front. It's right next to the fire extinguisher. And it was an emergency vehicle. And yeah, I risked my life walking my dog. So I gotta get out in the street. Anyway, to get people to follow the rules and see that not as a.
So if you see someone putting boulders right next to the road, or you see something that's put right next to the road, please let me know, because we have a very large amount of right of way. And again, we are trying to open that up as much as we possibly can. But I don't have the ability to be in all places at all times. So I'm pursuing removal of objects in the right of way all over the city for that same reason. So if you see something, contact us and let us know so we can go take a look.
What about the section east of Image? There's a small section there that would connect to the already part you did. Why isn't that included? It's only a few blocks.
It's about, I want to say, a quarter of a mile. We did not have the budget to do that one. That one we're trying to get to that one. It's more or less designed.
At least the 20-some years I've lived here.
Well,
to get to it.
You're absolutely right, because that was one of the first segments that we built. And we actually had to remove that segment from the original project because again, project came in over budget. We didn't have enough money. So we're trying to get that one done too. But again, it's just a matter of the availability of funds.
Go where you've already got it and move that.
Because
way.
I don't
Why
have the
start
budget.
here This way and leave a big hole.
I don't have the budget for it. That's.
I kind of wonder the same thing. I mean, the road or the sidewalk stops.
They're talking
And then
about in
there's-
front of the arboretum, correct?
Yeah, and then there's a big gap. And then it starts again.
Mhm.
How did you make the decision to do it that way instead of just making it continue it?
I think we just picked a start and stop point. We looked at how much money we would have available for that segment and just realized we didn't have enough money to add a quarter of a mile to the length of the project. These are tough decisions, but we have to work within our means. And, you know, we're just taking this, bite-sized pieces at a time. That is what we have
But
to
you're
do.
doing it in piece parts.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. We're doing it in piece parts. We've been doing it this whole time in piece parts because we've never had the budget. I would have loved to have been able to just do the entire thing from the west end all the way to the east end, all in one project. We don't have the budget capacity to do that. So we have to do these in pieces. It's the same way we do our road system. I can't do all of 18th Street from 205 all the way out to 192nd. I have to break it up into manageable pieces.
Well, that makes sense, but how do you decide which piece to do in what order?
Usually it's based on, most times we do a mile at a time.
Uh-huh.
In this case, I think the section we're building is about 1.25 miles. So it's manageable, what we think we can budget, what we think we can get grants for, and so forth.
So it's not because of the topography or the ditches or
No,
anything like that?
no.
I have a solution, I think, to your budget issue. You can accomplish the expansion that these ladies are talking about. If you would reduce the construction size of this 14-foot proposed path down to a reasonable 8-foot, you save 33% of construction cost and use that money to finish that effort there. I would submit that you're not going to see 2 or 3 bikers, baby strollers, and pedestrians walking along Evergreen Highway, like you do at the South Waterfront. I've talked about this for quite some time to the city, and they feel they really have to have this 14 feet. Because now we're trying for dollars, there's your dollars, reduce it. You're right.
It just fair.
Are you going to have curbs?
Yes. Yeah, so it'll have a curb next to the travel lane, and then it has the same look and feel of the sidewalk. We call it a trail, but it really has the same look and feel of the sidewalk.
The dollar value they required for the current segment.
Yes.
I'm new to the game, so I've never been in one of these meetings before, but I do live in the neighborhood. So if I understood the math right, thank you, by the way, for all the hard work. I can't imagine how I'm just fielding many questions. If I understood the math, we got $3 million grants to keep. There was a 2 million as well. That you said there was dedicated money from neighbors already at 2. What did you say?
No, so originally we had a $500,000 federal grant.
Okay.
And then we put about 2 million of our local dollars to create about a $2.5 million project. We thought our estimates at the time
So
said
we
we
got 2 million already committed to?
have 2 million in local dollars, 500,000 in federal dollars. That was the project we put out to bid in the spring. Bids came in at right around $3.5 to $4 million. We had to reject all bids. So we went out, we had the opportunity to get a hold of some additional grant dollars. We got an additional $3 million, so a total of $3.5 million in grant dollars. We're hoping with this next bid, that will take care of it. And then that will allow us to take the 2 million in local dollars and put that towards another project that might not have sufficient funding to build. So it's a shell game that I do almost every day to figure out.
Well, it's not 5.5.
No, it's 3.5. And if the bids come in at 4, we're still gonna have to put 500,000 of local dollars towards it, but that's a lot better than the 2 million that wouldn't have even gotten us. I mean, I was literally gonna have to go back to our budget office and ask for another $2 million that we didn't really know where that would come from. So,
One more question for Ryan.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I would look at what I want to see for it, because it was recently repaving there. We've been waiting for this trail for the last 30 years, and our segment is gonna be the last one to be completed. So I believe we need some traffic calming measures, and I spoke with Judge Khan about trying to get some speed bumps, with some more crosswalks. And speed reduction down to 25 in our neighborhood for calming measures, traffic calming measures, it would be very inexpensive. And he's not receptive to that. I wonder, why can't we pursue inexpensive solutions to traffic calming?
So I need to go and look because part of the plan, the overall Evergreen corridor plan was traffic calming as we pave each section. So I need to find out when the traffic calming.
That was my understanding as well, so I'm
Yeah.
very disappointed.
No, let me go and work on it.
Require what the plans were, and
Yeah.
again. And it was also, prioritizing the truck traffic, and so we couldn't have speed bumps because, the log trucks, and then when I thought about coming to get 25, they were arguing that 30 miles an hour was safer than 25, for some reason. So none of that made sense to me.
Right now, most of the Evergreen Highway is 30 miles an hour. And so that's
All the, now all the sections, west of Ellsworth, and all of Camas is 1.5. Those sections where there's lots of houses on the beach, go backing out of the driveway, so like blind corners, like in our neighborhood, those are all 25. Those wide open sections, one by the big factories, and that's 30.
And I know the truck traffic was an issue because of the mill. I don't know what the mill is. I don't know what's happening with the mill. So, you know, that might have been the reason why we didn't immediately go in and put the traffic calming in, but we might have the opportunity to change that decision.
But the issue isn't so much the truck speed traffic, it's the high speed cars through there. So if we do just a simple speed limit reduction down to 25 would be a big help. When we went from 40 to 30, that was very beneficial for speeds in our neighborhood. Taking it further down to 30 to 25 would be a lot safer for us.
If anybody paid attention to that, and that's the challenge.
We're trying to see, don't start. I mean. Graduates, 9% people are speeding, and there's a teacher that is flying over the speed bumps, so that's not the first favorite.
All right, they're pulling me off, so
Yeah.
if you have any other questions, Dode and Serena have my email, contact them, forward your questions on to me, and I'll get back in touch with you. Thanks for having me out.
Thank you.
This part might be brief because I'm looking for Sean Jansen. And I don't see him here, and he was our next speaker. So I will tell you a little bit about what we have started discussing with the Parks Foundation. We're finding that we listened to you guys from the last meeting last year, and there were a few people saying, well, why can't we start our own type of maybe way to donate if you would like to help get the trail finished. And so we are in negotiation with the Parks Foundation to start a 501c3 tax deductible for the trail only. And we're going to combine both of the neighborhood associations for that trail. That's all I can tell you now because Sean was the one that was going to be here to answer the questions, but I'll try my best.
Why not use the community foundation? Why form a new 501c3 and not use the community foundation?
Well, I don't know anything about the community foundation. Do you know anything? No. Okay, so the reason we went with the Parks Foundation is, to me, this is considered part of the parks. I mean, we're trying to get this finished because we got the fish hatchery, we have the arboretum, and we want to be able to connect downtown at least all the way through to where the trails are almost finished in Camas, Washougal. So that was the original plan, was to get all those connected, but
The community foundation is 20 times the asset of the Park Foundation.
so I will let Parks Foundation answer those questions. Yeah,
Parks Foundation was the first source of money that we had, right from, for the very first segment.
yeah.
So we've had a good relationship with it. Okay.
So I'm sorry Sean's not here to answer those questions. Maybe I can get a little video blurb from him because I will be creating a video out of this meeting and you'll be able to watch it anytime you want. So I'll go and get some questions from him regarding that. So if you want to email, we have an email address, OEHNA@yahoo.com or Dode. Dode, you probably have Dode's email address, probably not mine. So, I don't know if the mayor would like to get up and say anything. No, not about this. She doesn't want to talk about this project, but maybe what she handed out. So this is Mary.
And McNary, the mayor for the city of Vancouver, Diane, who is counselor. A couple quick notes. There was a question about 34 high density apartments and two major schools, a middle school and a high school. That's where some of that money came from to make that a walkable site. The other piece, as the chief was talking about, one of the pieces that we're looking for is the technology for each of those 13 officers will be drones on first response. Drones as first responders, not to come over and watch you in your backyard gardening, but to leave West Precinct and go down to Marine Park and check out why there was a 911 call for a fire. The drone reaches it faster to see jackasses making circles in the dust, so we don't have 5 officers responding. So the cameras don't go on those drones until it gets to the site and then looks down and reports back to the chief. Only send 1 officer, not all 5. So in front of you, we didn't realize there would be 67 of you here. So we just handed out a quick week-end update of some of the things that we're working on. Diana will talk about homelessness and the housing piece of it, but let me just go through some of this quickly. We have 3 neighborhood association meetings tonight. Boards and commissions. We have 26 boards and commissions. We always have recruitment. We just finished a major recruitment. Excuse me, we'll be doing all those interviews in the next month or so. You heard about Prop 5, lots of different opportunities for different funds, CDBG, home, art, and such. Water center exhibit replacement. If you've been to the Water Resource Center and you saw all of those exhibits down there, you can thank OMSI. They gave them to us 30 years ago. So we're redoing those with the Water Enterprise Fund. More grants through the cultural arts and heritage, along with science. Copland. The staff has been working on the comprehensive plan for the last 2.5 years. The comment period ended September 8th. There's a summary right there of some of the takeaways and topic areas. Comprehensive plan is the Growth Management Act requirement. The county, the previous county, required us to build 40,000 housing units in the next 20 years. Do your math. That's 2,000 housing units every year. And half of them have to be affordable. So we have to plan on where we're going to put 2,000 housing units within our city limits every single year. When you saw alternative 1 and you saw alternative 2, those were the first best guesses. That's why it went out for comment. It'll come back. New maps will be drawn and given out in the next week or so. But we're required by state law to plan for 2,000 housing units. And we're going up, not down and out. So we have to stay within our city limits. We are asking the county to please consider requiring urban design and development standards in our urban growth area. So if we ever do annex, then all of those areas will be to urban standards and not rural standards. So when we annexed Cascade Park back in the 90s, those are all built with rural standards. Old Evergreen Highway, Grandma and Grandpa, they're on Old Evergreen Highway. Rural standards. That is why Ryan is spending millions of dollars bringing that up to urban standards. And that's why it's taking so long. If you look down at the bottom on the front, the heights, we own a great portion of the heights. We're building apartment complexes, but we're also building home ownership up there. 74 new units, townhouses, condos. We'll work with homeowners, help them through the mortgage process so they can start owning and putting equity into a mortgage. On the backside. A number of different things out here at the Vancouver Innovation Center. We purchased the park in the northeast corner. That is just a little over 14 acres, old growth trees. They charged us a great price, 50% of the market. We bought it. Excuse me. A couple different pieces down on the right-hand side. The public works operation piece is on Old Fourth County. When we bought it, it was all of the vehicle maintenance for the school district and everything else. So we bought those 15 acres. We will redevelop that into housing and mixed use and commercial and retail. But we're moving the operations center out to the Patton Parkway. So we bought a piece of property way out there from the county, annexed it into the city. We're now doing all of the underground work, the geothermal work, and all the seismic work for those pillars to stand on. And then we'll finish the top work within this next year, open it up next fall. So the operation center will totally move out. Then we'll gut everything on Fourth Plain and totally redevelop those 15 acres. Who is the City of Vancouver? County would love to join us. We said, do your own. Diana will talk homelessness and housing, but are there any economic questions or things that I've covered that you had a question about? Hey, Diana, you're on. Can I have your cheat sheet? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Bye, man. Everybody say bye, man. One, I'm Diana Perez, and how many of you are from the East Old Evergreen Highway Neighborhood Association, which is now Columbia River? Yes, thank you. And then the rest of you from the Old Evergreen. So Todd, raise your hand, Todd. Todd and I were co-chairs of the East Old Evergreen Highway Neighborhood Association when it first came about in 2004, 5 or whatever year that was, and worked with Dode when she chaired and thought it just makes sense because of the trail and all the issues for us to work together. And that's why we now have our combined meetings. And so we have some great leaders that have stepped up. So I love being here with you. You are part of my neighborhood, and the city too is my neighborhood now. And I chose to run for office because of some of the issues that we were dealing with, as well as wanting to be that different voice on city council. So I'm excited to be here with you. I think this is my first meeting as an elected official. And look forward to getting to know, thank you. Look forward to getting to know each of you individually. Let me tell you, that trail has been in the works for a long time. So we can't give up, but it's made significant progress because we didn't have a trail like the one that you have right now that you can walk by Columbia Springs. So we're chipping away at it. I just wanted to add that there's some efforts. We are a leader in the city when it comes to addressing the homeless population, issues that we have, and we are bracing ourselves. Because what happens up above us impacts us locally. So, you know, the Medicare issue, fixed incomes, and people being priced out of their homes. And one of the top two reasons of being houseless is domestic violence, and that has gone up significantly. So we're bracing ourselves, and part of that bracing ourselves is to actually establish a shelter. So we're going to be building a high capacity shelter, which we call the bridge shelter out by the mall. And this is to get people from living in a tent off the sidewalk into a controlled environment where they're able to get the wraparound services needed. Get your social security card, regroup with your family, get the medical services that you need, all what we call wraparound services. So we're hoping to start on that in 2026. There is, I've seen some more houseless community issues in our neighborhood. How many of you have seen that in our neighborhood? Yes. Yeah. So it's coming. And so we want to make sure that we have the resources available, not to criminalize being houseless, but to be able to help our human brothers and sisters to get off the street and get the help they need.
Get off. What about?
If they don't want to get off the street, then go somewhere else. Not here, not in the city. So that's the part about accountability. Right now, we don't have a place for them to go. That's the issue. We don't have the housing. We don't have the shelter, which is why we have safe stays. Have you guys heard of the safe stays? So yes, so part of that, we planned for 5, but we have 4, and then we have 1 safe park. And we learned from other mistakes that we've done in the past, like with the navigation center, putting it in one neighborhood and expecting everybody to go there. So we're learning from that. Other people from across the country are coming to us to see how we are managing the safe stays. They are temporary. They're not meant to be permanent. They're temporary because we declared an emergency on homelessness. So that is still an emergency. So we're hoping that this bridge shelter is going to reduce the number of people that are living out in the street if they do not want to go to get the help they need. Then they're not going to be allowed to camp on the street. That was the executive order, or the lawsuit that happened where we couldn't criminalize anybody. We can't, we shouldn't, when there is no shelter for people to go to or to access the resources that they need. Yeah.
Does the city move along the RVs that are parked in the neighborhoods? We drove by one today.
Yeah.
That was on the west side of Ellsworth. And how is that handled?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So the question was, how are parked RVs or parked cars handled? So we have 311. If you see a vehicle in your neighborhood that has been there for a while and it's obvious that they need some help, you call 311 and we'll have an outreach officer or the heart team go. We do have what we call a safe park. So up at the end of 136, where it was the old utilities or C-Tran area, I don't know if you've seen it, across from motor vehicles. That's where we have a controlled managed system for people who are living out of their vehicles to safely park there. Again, you're there because you want the help and you're getting the help, and there are some accountability measures and rules and regulations to follow. Otherwise, yes.
I found in my Vancouver app, this, it just like, people don't even know about it.
Yeah.
Super easy to use, so as someone who's always walking around the business in the area, right around Grand, there's graffiti, it gets cleaned up quickly. It gives me somewhere, people follow up with me, I'm surprised how quickly we get response, especially potholes, things like that.
Great.
So I just wanted to share.
Thank you for bringing that up. So my Vancouver app is, it's an app that you can download, but it is changing now. So this is where you could report anything: trash, a speeding vehicle, a parked vehicle, a pothole. This is where, one place where you can go in and report it. So if you go to Be Heard Vancouver, the website, it's just an easier navigation. Because not a lot of people know about the My Vancouver app, which is why, but we do have a reporting system now. Yes,
How many are you planning for at the new bridge shelter? Is it
it's, the bed is 120. 120. Yes,
You have funding for that now?
yes, we do. Yes.
I don't know if it's there. But if people choose not to use the mail services, you are saying that they need to get out.
They're not allowed to tent, live in a tent on the street or on the sidewalk. So
So then what happens?
if they, our police officers will deal with that. So one could be, where do you need to go? Do you need to go to, we don't want to send them to Berlin either. So there's a protocol that our police officers will have to do. And so it's one of those tough things that we're gonna have to, we don't want to go there. So what kind of help do you need? So if they don't go to shelter, maybe they do still want the resources. So community court or another, Columbia River Mental Health or, right? So we don't want to force them to go somewhere where they don't want to go. Yeah.
I have a brother who was homeless for 35 years, so this is the issue that I've dealt with long time in my life. And criminalizing homelessness is anathema.
Is what?
Anathema, to me, it should be toward that.
Anathema?
Anathema, it should be something that does not exist.
Okay.
But I see, you're talking about no camping on sidewalks. But since Sunday, driving down Evergreen, I spotted green tents that are not on the sidewalk. They are off to the street, into the brush. Columbia Springs has an ongoing problem with people camping on the property. Yeah. Not all of them are nuisances. But if we're going to move people out because they don't want to leave shelter, they're not ready to leave the shelter. They have other ideas about how to spend life. Many of them are working.
Yes, living out.
We can't just throw them in the trash.
No, you're right. Yeah. That's the tough place we're in.
Eventually, some of them will decide for themselves if they want to be out. They want to have services. But some of them are just gonna die up.
And they have.
Yeah.
So we've had what, 50 deaths, I think, since January? And so when it comes to severe weather, it gets even worse. Right? So we have severe weather locations. Some of the churches open up their places for the extreme cold or heat missing station. So that's why this bridge shelter is so important. But then the other thing is, if they don't want to go to a shelter, we have our HEART team, which is a homeless assistance response team, which is exactly that. Okay, you don't want to go to a bridge shelter. What resources can we get you? Can we get you help with recovery, help with connecting with your loved one? So it varies the gamut. But when it becomes a public and safety issue, okay.
Will this shelter be individual spaces for privacy, or is this going to be communal living at 120 beds?
I believe it's gonna be communal.
And that's what most people who are homeless take.
I've got a question.
Yeah, and don't quote me on that, but we have to be able to see what is happening. So that's why the communal part. But there will be a kitchen, there will be showers, there will be ability to do laundry, the mail. But most importantly, it's those wraparound services to be able to get lifted up and get your own home and move forward. Yes.
Well, what are we looking at the ratio between our estimated and known homeless population and available beds or shelter space? Is it, what is it?
Right now, we have a point in time count that Council for the Homeless and all the service providers do. So we have about 500-ish people. This is a one-time count out on the streets. And then we have, as far as shelter beds go, I don't know the exact number of shelter beds, but not enough is what I'll tell you. So by adding this 120, right, we're hoping that that's going to reduce it, but we also have to consider the exiting from the safe stays into another one.
That's a new 120.
It's a new 120.
So, yeah, I'm not like your dad, but I mean, do we have 400 shelter beds available or? Space?
Right now or
Yeah.
later? Oh, right now, I don't know right now because it's not just the shelter beds, it's also like subsidized living. So exiting from emergency shelters, safe stays to like Bertha's place. Have y'all heard of the Bertha Ball's place, which is another, or Lincoln Place? So this is all people who aren't able to, they live on subsidized housing. Believe it or not. But one last question.
One more question.
I don't want to make it all about houselessness, so if there's any other type of question, I'd be happy to try to answer.
I work for Columbia Springs, and so that wooded property toward under the bridge and put our parking lot. We're actually a designated school zone, you know, there's summer camps and the preschool students that use that on a regular basis. And we don't have the capacity to always be dealing with 311 to address it. But the roadblocks aren't there for 211 and officers to deal with homeless population that live on that trail system there. So if anybody is a regular user of that trail system, feel free to address it yourself and spend the time doing 311 on that trail system with us. And you can also mention us, we pick up the things that get left there when we have a chance, but just let you know that the roadblocks to that area of homelessness aren't there in the same way they are with the rest of the cities.
Thank you.
Next week.
Yeah, I will, your question about how many beds, because there's also like treatment beds and recovery beds and beds for people who are fleeing domestic violence. So there's that mix. It's a pleasure to meet all of you and see your wonderful faces. I hope to see them again.
Thanks, Diane. Well, we didn't expect the meeting to last this long, so we're gonna try to close because we're losing some people. And when you came in, there was a flyer that we were handing out regarding the boundary changes.
Boundary changes in our two neighborhood associations. It's nothing to do with taxes or anything, it's just how we divide the neighborhood.
There's
And,
no name changes.
and it just makes good sense. And it was a very good description on the handout that you had.
So how about we do this? How about a show of hands who oppose this? We don't. So the new boundary for bylaws right here is at the last paragraph. The map is on the front. These guys know more. I'm new to this association, fairly new. These guys know a lot more about the boundary than I do, but I'm louder, so I'm standing up and speaking. What'd you say?
It's just a hand, by the way, the boundary change is a handful of homes. So we're fine in between, it just cleans up the lines. Because these,
So they're saying it's gonna clean up the lines between the
just
boundaries.
clean them up. It was arbitrary when it was, first put in, and so we're just trying to clean up the boundaries, so it'll end its so just a cleaner line between the two of us. So we're just correcting something that probably should have been done in the first place. So it's just an adjustment.
And sometimes people would come to the meeting and they really just didn't know which neighborhood they were in.
Yeah, so we're just trying to clean,
So, for good reason, because of,
so we're just cleaning up the boundary.
so I think it's well explained in that handout. So as Heidi says, does anybody
Oppose.
oppose the proposal to change our bylaws?
I don't think anybody has. All right. Well, I recorded the meeting, so I will have it out on our next door and our Facebook channel. So we have one, I'm not sure if they have one for CRNA, but we have an Old Evergreen Highway Neighborhood Association Facebook page. So you can go there to find